Good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for taking the time to log in to watch this short video. In a moment, Year 13 parents will hear from Mr. Bond, who will outline the plethora of careers opportunities available for your son or daughter to follow, and to ensure that they have the essential information during this year, the first year of sixth form, in gaining an understanding of the many different routes and pathways they may wish to pursue when they leave the school. Following on from Mr. Bond, Mr. Crummy will outline life in sixth form in Banbridge Academy and give you an overview of how you can support your son and daughter through the next 2 years. For Year 14 parents, Mr. Bond will follow and give a very detailed explanation of the range of options and career pathways that can be pursued when your son and daughter leaves the school, such as university, higher level apprenticeships, further education colleges, employment, and a whole range of other options. The key is for your son and daughter to explore those options so in turn they can make informed decisions. And we hope tonight or this afternoon when you're watching this video, it will help you to understand those options a bit better so that you can be part of that essential conversation. Before the gentlemen follow myself, I would just like to say congratulations. Congratulations to you in supporting your son and daughter. They achieved absolutely outstanding GCSE and AS level results. In fact, our best ever. They're to be complimented because the last few years have been difficult for everyone, and no more so for the students in our care. And I want to thank you for the support that you've given your sons and daughters, but also thank you to the support that you've given the school. They have achieved truly outstanding results. Exactly the same at the A-level year group that's just left. And the most pleasing aspect is the vast majority of the year group are now going on to pursue the career pathway of their choice, fulfilling their dreams. That's what we want to do for your son and daughter. Sixth form. Sixth form is about developing skills as well as qualifications. So that includes the world of volunteering and extracurricular, and in many cases, part-time work. And sometimes people misquote the school, and indeed myself. I'm not against part-time work, but I am against part-time work if that is during a normal school working week. I'm totally in favour of part-time work and developing skills and volunteering at the weekends and indeed most notably in the holidays. It's extremely important that our young men and women start to take the opportunity during holidays to develop essential lifelong skills and at the same time earn some money on the side. They need to build that CV. They need to build all of those skills that are required for their future career pathways and to demonstrate to future employers and indeed universities commitment to their chosen path. So it is an opportune time to look at volunteering opportunities and potential employment opportunities that will help them to outline a future pathway for their chosen career. School is here to support your son or daughter. We want them to achieve high quality outcomes, but it's not just the academic side, it's the pastoral support and the extra and co-curricular life of the school. I encourage your son and daughter to stay involved in the life of the school. With those extra and co-curricular activities becomes a sense of belonging, a sense of ownership, a sense of identity, and most importantly, friendship. And in turn, they become part of the school. And in turn, they are the school. And their memories are the soul and identity of the school. School's tough in sixth form, but the relationship changes. And it's a relationship where teachers get to know pupils much better and pupils get to know teachers much better. And that relationship works on mutual respect. As your son, daughter is a young adult, behaves as a young adult, then in turn, teachers treat your son, daughter as a young adult. And it's so important that that relationship evolves and develops because we want our young people to go out into the world of higher education, further education, and into the world of work, ready for what they meet ahead. Another triangle, working together, home, school, and the student. If we do that successfully and we work together to support your son, daughter, we will do an exceptional job. That's what we're here to do. Work alongside you and work alongside all of our students. We want them to do well. Yes, it is demanding, but we all know that 3 good A-level grades basically equates to many different career pathways and a good life. I'm not saying a perfect life, but nearly every employer and every university and every future career pathway will judge students against A-level grades. And they know that you have to study 3 A-level grades. So therefore, it's exceedingly important that the 3 grades are good, not just 2, not just 1, but all 3. And I can't stress that enough. For many students, they may be studying 4, and they may then choose to drop down to 3, because it's 3 good A-level grades is key to the gate of so many career paths. So we must achieve for all of our students 3 good grades. As I highlighted already, there are many different options and many different pathways. For some, university, for others, higher level apprenticeship. And it's great to see the numbers that have left this year and are now pursuing employment at the same time as training through those apprenticeship routes with major firms. Alongside that, pathways into further education and direct into employment. We want your son, daughter to investigate and explore those options. I firmly believe if you have choices and if you have options in August next year and for our year 13 in August 2 years, it gives them the future they deserve, where they are in charge and they in turn can make a choice that suits them. But if they don't put the options on the table now, then unfortunately doors are closed and the choices are restricted. We don't want to see that. So take this time to explore, to investigate, and to think long and hard about the different routes into your chosen career. We want you to fulfill your dreams, but there are many ways to do that. I want to say thank you as we look forward to the year ahead. It's great to see the students back again. It's great to see the buzz in the dining hall and the buzz around the school and in all the extra and co-curricular activities. I'm here to serve your son, daughter. I want them to do well. Please don't hesitate to contact the form teacher, the year head, one of the senior leadership team, or myself at any stage. Together, we will support them to ensure they achieve and fulfill their obvious potential. We look forward to the next year and indeed the next 2 years. And I say, finally, thank you to Mr. Bond and thank you to Mr. Crummy for taking the time to put together their presentations. And in conclusion, we hope and we strongly believe that your son, daughter will achieve outstanding results and at the same time gain a rounded education that allows them to go forward in life. We want them to get the education they deserve. That's always been my goal and will continue to be, to give them the best education in and outside the classroom that we can do. Please, please contact the school at any stage if there are any issues or problems. And I look forward to seeing you in person in the near future. Thank you for watching this short video.
Okay, good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, whatever time you happen to be watching this presentation. I'm so glad that you've tuned in to find out a little bit about the direction of travel as far as our Year 14s goes. So Year 14 obviously is a time of great transition, great excitement as our pupils prepare to leave school and move on to the next stage of their careers and the next stage of their lives. And I just want to take some time to talk you through the options that are out there for them and the process by which they can avail of those options. So a couple of things to start off with. Obviously, over the past 2 years of the pandemic, 3 years really, things have changed significantly. And the past 2 years of sixth form year groups have had a few curveballs thrown at them, to say the least. A couple of things have changed, but which are now returning to normal. And the first of those is examinations. So the current sixth form, the current Year 14, have just finished their AS levels. They've got their results. And as was the case in the pre-pandemic world, those AS levels are contributing 40% to their final A levels. Now, having AS grades is also very beneficial for this Year 14 because they have a very strong indication of how they will perform at A level. History will show from the grades and statistics of the past that pupils' performance at AS level is a very strong predictor of performance at A2 level. And what I would say is, look at the AS level grades and think very carefully about the grade requirements of the university courses that are being chosen. If you're sitting on 3 Bs at AS level, I mean, 3 As is possibly going to be a bit of a stretch at A level. And so choose university courses accordingly. One other word of warning, which is to do with coming out of the pandemic world, is that you may be aware that exam boards did apply some leniency to grading this summer. Next summer, they're going to be moving further back towards 2019 and previous levels in terms of grading of public examinations. And so again, I would urge a little bit of caution when applying for courses which are significantly higher in requirement than the AS grades of a particular pupil. So there's examinations. Secondly, there is the work experience issue. Now, the current year 14 did suffer somewhat from the restrictions placed on schools due to the pandemic. However, where work experience is required and where year 14 pupils can identify meaningful and helpful work experience, we are still willing to work with them to avail of that, because there's some university courses and careers, thinking vocational courses especially, where that is really important. Thirdly, competition. The past couple of years has been tricky for universities, as lots of students have pulled out of their courses because they were wary of the university experience. They were wary of going off to Manchester or Liverpool or thereabouts and sitting for a year watching lectures online in their bedrooms, which they could have watched from home. That is now changing, although not completely. Universities have learned from the pandemic, and they are publishing more material online in terms of lectures, and they're using that method for the dissemination of information. But there definitely is a shift back to in-person teaching in smaller groups, in tutorials and workshops and labs, as there would have been in the pre-pandemic world. So that's just a little bit of context for us as we move out of the pandemic and look forward to the future. Another bit of context which you might find helpful is just to have a bit of information about where Banbridge Academy pupils go, typically speaking. Every year we tend to find that we do have the vast majority of our pupils applying to university and going off to university. So this year we had 180 UCAS applications. Of those 180 UCAS applications, we have just under 150 who have chosen to go off to their firm choice, and they've got the grades to go into their firm choice university. A few didn't make the grades for their firm choice and are off at their insurance choice. And so we have between 150 and 160 of our pupils off to university in a vast range of courses, from psychology to medicine to teaching to architecture and more. Of those who have gone to university, I would say there are between 90 and 100 who are staying in Northern Ireland, going to Queen's and Ulster University. And obviously the funding structure encourages our pupils to do that. But that still leaves a significant minority of pupils heading off to England, Scotland and Wales. I should say as well that a number of our pupils, and in fact an increasing number every year, are taking up the opportunity to avail of apprenticeships. They are earning while they're learning. They are working for local companies while they are studying at university, getting qualifications while they gain experience. And that brings me on to the next slide, where I talk about some of the options that are open to pupils in year 14. While the majority will go to university, it is not the route that everybody has to take. Okay, it is the majority choice, but it is not the only choice, and it is not the preferred choice by any means. The option is yours. The option is there to go to university if you want it, but we encourage all our pupils to think seriously about what is best for them. Obviously, there are some careers which are vocational and which require a degree education, medicine, law, teaching, and others, but there are many which do not require that. And so there are other options available out there. We've got the CAO, which is the agency responsible for applications to universities in the south of Ireland. And we encourage all of our pupils not just to submit a UCAS application, but also to apply down south as well. Why wouldn't you? You get 5 UCAS choices But with CAO, you get 10 degree choices and 10 higher level education choices or further education choices. So 25 choices in the bag if you avail of that opportunity. I put the St Mary's logo on the screen here as well. St Mary's Teaching College is another college of Queen's, just like Stranmillis College, which is responsible for training teachers. However, the advantage of St Mary's is that it's also outside UCAS. So if you are thinking of applying to teaching in Stranmillis, or indeed to teaching in general, you can have Stranmillis, 4 choices across the water in mainland GB, and then outside of the UCAS system, you can apply to St Mary's. I would encourage anybody interested in teaching to speak to me about the options available there. Beyond that, we have our further education colleges. We've got Southern Regional College here in Banbridge, also at the Newry, Armagh and Portadown and Lurgan campuses. Belfast Met is just up the road. We have SERC in Lisburn as well, which offers a similar but not identical range of courses, and those are out there for our pupils to avail of. They are not just there for pupils who leave at GCSE. There are lots of qualifications which are available for school leavers at 18, which will help them progress beyond A-level, or what's known as level 3, possibly bridging to university eventually. The logo, which I have on the screen here, those folks looking at the computer screen, is from PwC. And PwC is just one example of many companies who provide apprenticeship opportunities. As I said, there are more and more pupils every year availing of that. And I always promote that very strongly amongst our pupils as a fantastic opportunity. Finally, there's the option of a gap year. And if pupils choose to avail of a gap year for whatever reason, then they are well advised to plan it carefully. It can be a great opportunity to gain extra experience, whether it's through travel, volunteering, or working. It can be an opportunity to simply get your head together and decide what you really want to do before you end up spending a significant amounts of money on a degree. Or it can be an opportunity just to take a pause if there are family circumstances or personal circumstances which are affecting you. Someone said to me recently there, I feel like I'm getting behind if I take a gap year. My response was, behind who? Because once pupils leave school, they make new friends, they move on in their lives, and actually comparing yourself to your peers is a fairly unfruitful exercise. So for many, a gap year is an ideal opportunity. So, huge range of options out there for anybody in year 14. There is by no means a direct route from Banbridge Academy to university. So, a word on deciding what is right for you. What I've got here is a very complicated Venn diagram, but let me just explain what I'm getting at here. When choosing the right university course, it is important for our pupils to take a number of factors into consideration. First of all, I would say entry requirements is a good place to start. Okay. Once pupils have decided on what they want to study, they need to think of, is it accessible? Okay, so there are over 200 universities in the UK. And if you want to study law, you will find that is offered at a vast majority of universities. But you have places where you have to get an A star and 2As to study law. There are other places where you can get into law with 3 Bs or less. You need to do your research and find out what is the place where you can best access. Balanced against that is the issue of reputation. I'll talk in a wee second about how you find out about the reputation of various courses, but use ranking websites. Look at the statistics out there for graduate employment rates, for pupil experience and student satisfaction. What is the reputation of a given course? Thirdly, location is going to be important. There are obviously some pupils who are just homebirds and don't want to leave Northern Ireland. There are others who want to get out into the big wide world and see what's out there. And that is an important consideration too. Balanced against that is, of course, cost on the other side of the diagram. For university in Northern Ireland, you're talking tuition fees of over £4,000 a year. When you move to England, Scotland and Wales, that jumps to over £9,000 a year. There are obviously living expenses on top of that. living in somewhere like Dundee is going to be significantly cheaper than living in somewhere like London. And so you got to balance up all those costs on top of the costs of travel whenever you decide to come home. You know, your plane travel, your boat travel, your train travel, whatever that might be. Beyond that then, thinking about university size is something which pupils don't often do. So you've got a university like Manchester with over 25,000 students at it, a big, bustling, thriving place. You compare that with somewhere like Winchester University, which has around 5,000. And you can get the impression just from those figures that the smaller universities will be places where students can perhaps be better known to their peers, be better known to their professors, their lecturers, and university pastoral staff. And so again, it's about trying to find the best fit for the individual pupil in terms of what will they find to be the most caring or exciting or nurturing environment, whatever it is they're looking for and they require. I mentioned student experience there. Again, you know, I was talking to some students recently about the difference between places like Stirling versus Strathclyde. Two universities in Scotland, 20 or 30 miles apart. One right in the heart of a bustling city in Glasgow, the other a bit further out, self-contained on one campus, and with much better access to places like, outdoor activity centres and that kind of thing. That's definitely worth considering. And then finally, I've got at the top of my diagram there, teaching style. Do a bit of research about what the course content entails. Do a bit of research about how it's taught. Is it taught in big lectures? Is it taught in smaller tutorials? Is there lab work involved? What's the assessment method? All of these considerations have to be thought through before you apply for a particular course. How can you research it? So the UCAS website has come on leaps and bounds in the past 3 or 4 years, and there are now some amazing search tools on there. Beyond that, university open days are taking place right now, and if there's a particular university in mind, I would recommend strongly that you get over to it. Take advantage of their open days, talk to staff, talk to students about how they find their experience there. Obviously, we have the Times and Guardian University Guides. myunichoices.com has some excellent resources in terms of ranking lists. The Student Room is where you'll find the student's point of view. And UniBuddy is another program which lots of universities avail of, where you can chat live to current students through the university website itself. So there's loads of stuff out there, so much information that it's almost mind-boggling. But at the same time, it is incredibly useful to get a sense of the experience that your child may have when they go to university. Now, final few words here on timescales and processes. So early applicants are people who are applying to medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, Oxford and Cambridge universities. Those people must have their UCAS forms submitted to UCAS by the 15th of October, which isn't too far away. They must also make sure that they have booked the appropriate admissions tests for medicine and dentistry especially. Those UCAT tests have been taking place over the summer, and students should be aware of the deadlines for the booking and sitting of those tests. And for those applications, the personal statement is often crucial. I am working with all those students right now who are applying to those courses, and they will need to have that completed in the next week or two. Everyone else beyond those early applicants is working to a deadline of the end of October, so half term. And what happens is students will submit their forms to the school. They will be thoroughly checked. Any corrections that are required will be made by the students and only the students. And so students need to look out for the forms being returned to them. When they hit submit, the form does not go to UCAS, it goes to the school. The reason why students have to submit their form by the end of October is because the school is working to a deadline of it's actually the 25th of January, 2023. And working to that deadline means that we have to check the forms thoroughly, and then once checked, we have to submit a teacher reference on top of that. And as you can imagine, with 180 to 200 forms to process, it takes a while to match up all the references with the forms in the midst of regular day-to-day teaching, assessment, and whatnot. Just a word of notice about cost. The cost for applications this year is £26.50 if you're submitting more than one choice. Almost everybody will submit more than one choice, and that'll cost you £26.50, and you'll pay that by card at the point at which you submit your application to the school. Okay, so no payment needs to be submitted to the school. That's done exclusively online. What happens next? Okay, so students will submit their application with 5 choices. If they need to take admissions tests for Oxford or Cambridge, they will do that in October or November. If they're applying to courses like medicine or dentistry, nursing, or some of the allied health professions, they will find themselves invited for interview from December, to be honest, right through until February or March, although most take place in December and January. And let me just say that there will be provision made for mock interviews and practice at that. We have a mock interview day scheduled for the 20th of October, which I think hopefully is good timing for pupils who will be experiencing or invited to interview. Once applications are submitted, pupils can find that they get offers sometimes the next day after their application is submitted. So that can be from as early as late November, early December. But they should be aware that every university operates a different admission scheme, and some people can be waiting right up until the middle or end of May to get all of their offers in. There's no cause for concern. It's not a first-come, first-served system. Anybody who gets their application in before the 25th of January is treated equally, and so it's really important to stress that. UCAS Extra is a system which is open for people who are sitting with no offers. So if you find you submit your application form and you have 5 rejections by the end of February, you can make further choices and further applications after that date. Once pupils have received all of their offers, they need to confirm by early June what their plan is. They need to pick a top 2. They need to pick a firm choice and an insurance choice. And the firm choice is really the one they're committing to in order to attend in September once they've received their grades. Again, all of this stuff comes with further advice down the line, which I'll be given to pupils and parents in due course. A word on clearing at this stage as well. Again, if you get to next summer and a pupil finds that either they've changed their mind or things aren't turning out the way they'd hoped, clearing is open from the start of July. Often clearing is associated with something which happens after exam results. It doesn't have to be. If you find that you've changed your mind, you can go into that from the start of next summer and start investigating your options. Much better to do that than to leave it to results day whenever it's very busy and people are grabbing places like there's no tomorrow. So that's the UCAS process. I spend a bit of time on that because the vast majority of our pupils do avail of that and do apply that way. But again, other deadlines, higher level apprenticeships can be applied for at any time, are released all throughout the year. I would strongly advise pupils to check in weekly with the Careers Bulletin, where they will find information on that. Further education applications to places like SRC and Belfast Met open in January. That should say 2023, my apologies. So applications for September 2023 will open in January of that year. For a gap year, if you know you're going to do it, start planning now. As soon as you know, start thinking. Always have a plan in place. And then applying to the Republic of Ireland through the Central Admissions Office can be done between November and February. Okay, those applications don't open until November. As I say, it's a much more straightforward process. That's why there's less time available for that. I'll make these slides available to pupils via the Google Classroom, and we'll be talking about these in our careers lessons, but they're there for you to see, and you can avail of those in your own time with your child. I know that's been an awful lot of information in a short space of time. Apologies if I've spoken too fast, but there's a lot to get through, and obviously we don't want to spend too much time watching our videos. So thanks for your attention. Really appreciate it. And I am, of course, here for further information if you ever need that. So all the best for now. Thank you.